Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Did you know that there were some negotiations behind the scenes between the Russians and the Ukrainians? Well, you probably didn't because they were secret negotiations. But I have here four articles, two in which one comes from the Russians, one comes from the Ukrainians, telling us about these secret negotiations in Qatar. And we find out why, again, these negotiations stalled. Like the first ones, if you remember, in March 2022, with the arrival of the imbecile, I was about to say Tony Blair. I'm sorry, Sir Tony Blair. In this case, it has Boris Johnson, then the Prime Minister of the Great Britain. Unelected official, mind you. But hey, they lecture everybody about democracy. So we have two articles related to that. All four articles are related to the negotiation. But it seems like there are some groups somewhere where they would like, or even in Ukraine, they would like to negotiate, but there are some people from outside that activate that imbeciles inside Ukraine that prevent that from happening. Or it's just to make people like me and others talk about it, like, hey, these guys want to negotiate, but there are some others who don't. I don't think they don't want to negotiate. I don't think they want to negotiate. I'm not about the guys in the West. No, they make profits. The war goes according to plan. The Russians, on the other hand, they do what they have to do because they're the victims, right? So we have here an article from Agence France Presse. So the first is from Russia Today, the other one is from Ukrainska Pravda, the third one is from Agence France Presse, very trusted media outlet, where it says that the Ukrainians' advance in Russia is because they want to force the Russians to come to a negotiation table from an inferior position. If you think that Kursk and Belgorod Oblast now will make the Russians go and say, please don't hurt me, we're going to come and give you everything, they want actually an unconditional surrender of Russia on the terms of the guys who, I say, initiated this garbage. And the last article, we have a German pervert, he's a German ambassador, I would say, to Russia. You're going to see why I called him that way. And he says that Russia is not ready to negotiate, but somehow they are negotiating behind the scenes. And then it's like you are, let's say you have a problem with your neighbor, and you have someone from far away, uninvolved with you and your neighbor's issue, telling everybody that you are not ready to negotiate. First off, right? Back off. You're not in this. It's between me and this guy. It's like, how should I put it? They tell you what you do and what you think. These guys and this ambassador. Let's see if we have the right name here. Yes, we have the right name here, and I'm going to look for his past, because Alexander Graf Lambsdorff has a very... Anyway, so let's go start with the first article coming from Russia Today, as I said. The 17th of August, 2024, Ukrainian attack ruined secret peace talks. This is according to Washington Post. Must be trusted. Moscow and Kiev were negotiating a moratorium on striking energy infrastructure before the Kursk incursion, the paper has reported. So they said, you know what? We're not going to hit energy infrastructure anymore. But wait, if you don't hit energy infrastructure anymore, that means the Ukrainians cannot hit the oil infrastructure and gas in Russia. Therefore, they cannot eliminate the competition, the Russian competition on the world's market. Therefore, the Americans and other weasels, American businesses, can compete. So it's the Americans who want those oil infrastructure being destroyed so they can compete on the world market by eliminating competition, plus the sanctions that make these imbeciles in Europe impose on themselves. So you kind of find out who is behind the Kursk offensive. That means there might be someone in Ukraine who really wants to negotiate these kind of things, but the bigger interests say no. All right, we'll see. Time will tell. So here it is. The Ukrainian incursion in Russia's Kursk region has derailed secretive Qatar-mediated talks between Moscow and Kiev that could have paved the way for a partial ceasefire. The Washington Post reported on Saturday, citing sources. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that Washington Post tell the truth. No. And because, citing sources. An unnamed diplomat, again, unnamed, I love, like right now I tell you, an unnamed person familiar with the matter told me that. And I can say whatever lie I want. Based on that person I can name. Confidentiality reasons and unnamed or even anonymous. But person familiar with the matter. This is how the media makes news. They continuously tell you unnamed source, person familiar with the issue or with the matter. They don't give you the names. They can invent whatever they want. How are you going to check that out? That is true or not? You can't, because they say, well, this is what they told me. So if they told me, if they lie, it's not misinformation, because we tell you it's not misinformation. And our fact checkers will determine it was not a misinformation thing, because we're special. But you, all right, let's go this garbage. An unnamed diplomat told the paper that both sides intended to send delegations to Doha to negotiate a landmark deal that would halt mutually devastating strikes on energy infrastructure. Que bono, who benefits and who doesn't? I told you already. However, when Ukrainian troops launched a large-scale attack on Russian territory last week, the rare engagement was thrown into doubt, the article said. According to one Washington Post source, which is that source? I can bring sources from my slaves for my sleeves how much I want. Russian officials postponed the meeting, describing the attack on Kursk region as an escalation. Do you think it was or not? Obviously it is. The unnamed, again, diplomat claimed, however, that Russia, and I'm quoting, didn't call off the talks. They said, give us time. The talks to end the infrastructure strikes have been going on for the past 2 months, the paper reported, adding that only minor details of the agreement needed to be worked out before the summit. Some of those involved in the discussions even reportedly hoped they could pave the way for a broader agreement to end the conflict. Senior officials in Kiev, however, were more skeptical about the negotiations, estimating their chance of success at 20% or less. The Washington Post said, after Russia decided to take time out, the Ukrainian delegation reportedly wanted to go to Doha regardless, but Qatar refused, seeing no point in such a format of talks. So this is one. Second one. This comes from Ukrainska Pravda. Ukraine's invasion of Kursk Oblast disrupts, not cancels, secret talks with Russia on stopping attacks on power facilities. Washington Post, the same thing. So I think that would have been a great thing. But the guys who can't compete on the world market, some businesses, Western businesses, multinational businesses, but not Russian or Chinese, they try to eliminate competition in a capitalist way. I provide a better product, and maybe at a cheaper price, or maybe a little bit more expensive than yours, but much better as quality. That's how capitalism is supposed to work. Not I go to the government and say, you know what, hey, here's campaign donations, why don't you ban that competition? Jawohl, we're going to do it. And then the other guys do the same thing to you. Is that capitalism? No, that's life. But, we are all capitalists and free market and clock. All right, so let's go to the next article. Coming from Agence France Presse. Ukraine says Russia incursion advanced. But I didn't pick it for the title. I picked it for the first paragraph. Kiev said Friday its incursion into Russian territory has advanced, claiming it aimed to force Russia to negotiate on fair terms as Moscow troops announced new gains in eastern Ukraine. So these guys are covering for some people destroying the secret peace talks. So you know where Agence France Presse says Barbara. Okay, she says that. So yeah, it's fair terms. Remember Napoleon Bonaparte, this guy right here? He said, I'm a man of peace. I love peace. I love peace. But as long as they are done on my terms. So when you hear people, well, these guys don't want peace. Well, under what kind of terms, baby doll? I mean, I like peace. I want your house, your wife, your so on, not your debt. But hey, and you start fighting, and I smack you and I say, he doesn't want peace. Why? Because peace will mean that I take your house and so on and so on. Is that how it goes? So every time when you hear people, they refuse the peace talks, look at the details, look at the terms, and see if you would have expected that. Like the Palestinians, and they never wanted peace. Under what terms? You know what terms, right? So here, a fair terms. No, Russia will be dictated, will be actually a unconditional surrender of Russia. That's how the peace terms would entail. What do you want? You want to enslave Russia, basically? And these guys don't want that to happen. Well, therefore, we're going to fight. Hey, we're not going to fight. They are going to fight for me, and you cannot hit me. You're going to hit your brothers. That's the way it's in Ukraine right now. And let's go to the last article here, where we have this pervert-looking guy, and it comes from DPA International. So this is not from Sputnik. That's the way he looks in the best look. German ambassador says Russia not ready to negotiate with Ukraine. He says that. Okay, he's free to say that. But who are you? Are you a referee? Are you a judge? Who are you? You're just a pervert. That's what you are. I mean, I'm just, joking. I mean, he might be a nice guy, but I'm just making it up. Russia is currently not ready to negotiate for peace with Ukraine. The German ambassador to Moscow, he said that, told the Daily Boner, General Anzeiger, in remarks published Friday. At the moment, the Russian side is not showing any willingness to negotiate, but is insisting on exaggerated preconditions. You know exactly what they... let's look a little bit into this, guys. You know exactly what the Russians said, and if you don't, you come on my porch with your... how do you call it? With your... Oh, this is a better picture of this guy. Gotta tell you that. Well, I let you be the judge. There he is. That versus this. I think this is a bad picture. Or this is a not that bad picture. So let's see where this guy was educated, right? And what he did. Who's this guy? Pop 66, pop. He is Free Democratic Party of Germany. Ooh, early life. We go here, Georgetown University. All right, that's Washington, D.C. So he's obviously as German as I am, this and that. Why? He was educated in the West. And then he came and he just became a ambassador. You know who this guy is, on whose policy, on whose... let me close this. Now you know who this guy works for. Educated at Georgetown University. All right. Scholarship. He got a scholarship, my friends. Master of Arts in History. Oh my God. And Foreign Service right there. Let's see. Do I find what I want? Political career. No, I want his life. Human rights, economic. Even though if I look here, I can figure things out. Languages. Do you have any Yiddish? If we have any Yiddish, that would be... All right, languages. I don't find his... I missed something. Personal life, usually you find over there. Member, political career, diploma, early life. Papi, Pip, Tip, 2, University in Bonn. 2, Kappa, you don't find it. Okay, well, maybe he's not of them. Maybe he's one of the other ones. So here is, my friends. This guy who is the ambassador, what a coincidence. Educated, with a full scholarship in Georgetown University. He just appointed by somebody, by elected officials, right? Official to be the ambassador of Germany in Moscow. He tells us that no, they don't want. And when the Russian says, we're ready. But these are the preconditions why the unprovoked military invasion, full-fledged war, not military operation, occurred. Because the Russians said, you know what? We want to take over the world like the other guy with, all right? My friends, this is infantile. But this guy is working not for the Germans. I think he works for other interests, not for the American interests, because the American government doesn't work for America's interests. It works for interests that are international interests, globalist interests. How do I know that? Very simple. Who gives them the most money? Not the votes. The votes are easily manufactured through the mass media and entertainment industry. Very easy. If I want tomorrow to make one group of people being the perfect people, I can make it to the mass media, entertainment, and the school. And if I want tomorrow to make another group as the most hatred group, like this color, I can make it the same way. So remember, these guys will say, well, it's no, it's people behind this, how the system works. Money buys influence. Thank you very much, and gives some power. Most of the time. Do you think that if you have an elected official, I don't know if you were involved in this, an elected official or a person who runs for office, and you go to her, let's be inclusive, you go to her and you say, well, if you can, let's say, and you give, let's say, donate about $2 million through different packs and all that, and you go over there and donate $100, which is a lot. When I go to see her, let's say her name is, I don't know, Chichi. I go and say, Chichi. When I call Chichi, and when you call Chichi, who do you think is going to be on hold or never answered? You. Why? Because I gave $2 million. And if I gave $2 million, not only that Chichi will have more chances than the person who didn't get $2 million, but maybe I have some media outlets where I have a majority, or I have some something to say over there in the board of directors through my donations, not donations, through my money, right? And then what do? You elect the right chichis in the government. They will appoint the right chichis that will implement certain and come out with certain kind of policies. And the policies will be, these are good, those are bad. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.